Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, Episode 1, Years. So this show, it takes place in the Walking Dead world where we're trying to figure out what's going on with Rick Grimes and also Michonne. I believe originally this was supposed to be some kind of movie or a set of movies, but I think they just kind of figured out that the show would work best as a 6 episode series. So in this show, in another world built on war against the dead, Rick Grimes and Michonne attempt to find each other and who they were. We have Andrew Lincoln returning as Rick Grimes, Danai Guerrera as Michonne. We also have Taryn O'Quinn from Lost as Major General Beale, Leslie Ann Brandt as a new character, Pearl, and also we have Craig Tate as Okafor, who is maybe an ally of Rick's. So let me give you a quick spoiler-free discussion, and then we'll get more into the details of what happened in this episode. Uh, as you may or may not know, if you watched my Daryl Dixon reviews, I dropped off The Walking Dead at some point. I believe around season 6 or 7. Whenever Carl kind of left the show, that was kind of the exit point for myself. So I didn't really know, I overheard in the conversations and stuff like that Rick eventually left the show. He has kind of written out. Michonne's the one that kind of kept kind of going for a little while, but when they pitched these characters returning, I thought it was a pretty cool idea. I thought I was very excited for it. So it's really interesting to see now where these characters are. Now, if you, like me, dropped off the show completely, this show does a very good job kind of bringing you up to speed with everything that happened. We have a little bit of a recap towards the beginning. And then also throughout the show, there's a lot of exposition to kind of build the world back up to where you have enough pieces to follow the story. So I think it does that very well. The Walking Dead has pretty much perfected the Walker genre of like when it comes to violence, when it comes to shooting, that kind of stuff, when it comes to making this world feel grimy and dirty. But also we are introducing some new aspects of that of like, have we gotten back to civilization as we knew it? So that's pretty interesting to explore. And then also just the story between Rick and Michonne as to kind of how they're gonna go find each other and what all risks they have to take for that. So overall, pretty enjoyable episode. I think this might bring a lot of people back in. There's just a certain chemistry that Andrew Lincoln has with Danai Gurira. So like whenever we get to see some of that stuff back on the screen, it's great. Andrew Lincoln just has a really like he has such a good presence when it comes to being Rick Grimes. So yeah, I think I really enjoyed this episode, and I am fully back on board for the six episode ride that we're about to get on. So all right, I'm gonna get into spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, this episode first aired on AMC Plus, but it also aired on the AMC channel on cable at its normal, Sunday evening time whenever you watch that. So make sure to go watch it, then come back. We'll talk a little bit about what happened. Um, Real quick, I'm gonna go through some of the points and anything that stands out. So we get to see 5 years after the bridge. Now the bridge was an event that I was not aware of, but pretty much gives you an idea of kind of what happened to Rick, right? He was kind of blown to pieces, or at least people thought he was dead. But it turns out that whatever this group was that's introduced in the show, they picked him up and they took him in to a hidden city where they don't always bring back survivors because one of the things protecting the city is the fact that people don't know about it. So that's an interesting theme that the show really goes on. Uh, you know, they we get a scene where Rick is kind of like consigned to work to earn his citizenship here in this new place. They go out and they have to kill walkers, clear the thing. Uh, he's Rick is tethered to like this one soldier because it appears that he's had multiple attempts to escape, and we kind of get to see Rick like he chops off his own hand trying to escape. Like that's how committed he is to that. We also get some dream sequences where we get to see Rick interact with Michonne. Although it's like I said, it's very clear that it's some kind of dream because everything looks very different. They're dressed in different clothes. The world doesn't look like an apocalypse, but all that stuff helps you refuel that relationship. That if you didn't get into those deep seasons where they really had that bond, I believe they got married. So they were raising a family there. So Rick narrates a lot of the exposition, which Andrew Lincoln has he's found such a good voice for Rick, like, without his natural accent, like it's really interesting to hear him talk as Rick and then in the after show kind of talk as Andrew Lincoln. Um, we get to meet Okafor, who is one of maybe an ally that Rick has made throughout this show. Now, I did go back and check because throughout the whole run of The Walking Dead, people were expecting Rick to lose a hand. Now, in the comics, he loses his hand in issue 28 when the governor cuts it off. Now, obviously, they teased this a lot in the show, but they never actually did it. So it's very interesting that after all these years, they finally made the choice for Rick to lose his hand and give something up because in this case, he was trying to escape. Uh, we also get to meet Thorne and Rick as they kind of work together. These are two people that Okafor has chosen to recruit for this army that's running this world, right? So the city is protected by an army. The army are the only ones that really go out into the world, and that's kind of what this new character Okafor wants to have Rick become part of that army and be a leader. So it's really interesting. So the CRM, it has issues, and I think this character believes that Rick is the one that can address those things. Really cool. When General Beale showed up, and I was like, oh, that's Terry O'Quinn from Lost. Like, I love Lost, so it was good to see Jean-Luc back on my screen. So that was really neat. They talk about some other cities that have survived, like Portland and Omaha, and of course this third hidden city that we don't really know where it is. Um, we get to see Rick continue to plan out his escape. So this first episode gave us like what's Rick been doing for like the past 5 years or so, right? So we get to see the bridge when everything happened and he got taken. But then we also get to see like 5 years after that, multiple escape attempts, how this world is kind of turning. And then Rick finally ends up kind of giving in to like this new life and resigning to like, maybe I won't be able to escape. We also get to hear that one of the cities fell. So I think that's a mystery that's being set up. I feel like this army, the CRM, is going to have something to do with that, but we still don't know. That remains, in a city like this where they have some amenities and communication and news and stuff. Like, it's still very easy for this army or this police state to kind of control the information from the outside. Um, and then in the last sequence, we get to see Rick as they're going out on a mission. Their helicopter is attacked by a little missile that kills Okafor, which it's a pretty gnarly sequence. And he just kind of blows up. The helicopter goes down, and then we see somebody kind of killing off the survivors of the crash. And before Rick is killed, we see that that's Michonne that's doing it. It was kind of a given since this individual was killing people with a sword. So Rick reveals his face, and then he and Michonne finally show up in the same. They get to see each other after all these years. After Rick had given up hope, they are finally reunited. I believe the next episode we'll see the same time frame, but from Michonne's point of view. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, the insider stuff gives a lot of really, it really tries to explain a lot of the emotion and the story that they're trying to tell. So yeah, overall, this was a really good episode. Like I said, I like The Walking Dead, and I think what I love the most is seeing the characters that I'm most familiar with, kind of back at the front line of the story. One of the reasons I watched the Daryl show was because Daryl's one of the characters that I really enjoyed following around. So, not that I didn't like the characters in the later seasons, but like I was in this from the beginning. Like I still watch clips of that scene at the beginning from season 1 of Rick reuniting with his family, right? So like I can't believe he's been this character for so long and he's back wearing the Rick outfit. So yeah, really cool stuff. Very interesting visuals. I think there's a very interesting juxtaposition between what we have in this new city versus the world outside the city. That's kind of a hellscape. So if you enjoyed this episode, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.